And good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Cathy, and I'm absolutely delighted to be here. Amma is going to talk about some elements of the energy field that we don't know about that much. And I learned about some of these in Healing Touch, but I am actually, and I intentionally did not go read up on some of them because I want to hear exactly what Amma has to say about them. Now, those of you who are on the screen, I'm going to show you a picture. And for those of you who are not on the screen, I'm going to try to describe things for you a little bit. So let's see. So here I'm going to share the screen and go to this little picture. Come on, you can do it. There you go. So those of you who are on this, you can see that the Hara Line, and that is spelled H-A-R-A. For those of you who are on the phone and you want to just go ahead and Google that, or whichever your favorite search engine is. So the Hara Line looks like it goes right straight through your body, and those of you familiar with the pranic tube probably think of it in that same way as the pranic tube. And here it is right straight through your body, but no, it's on a different dimension. So every part of our system is different dimensions. Now the soul seat is right in between your throat and your heart chakras, what some people call the thymus chakra. Again, it's on a different dimension, so that's your soul seat. Now your core star, it is below your solar plexus chakra, and again, deep within. It's deep within. That's your core star. And on this line, this is probably a Barbara Brennan. This looks like one of Barbara Brennan's images. And there, she has a Hara center, which many people will call the Dantian, T-I-E-N, the Dantian, which is deep within behind your navel. It is also, remember, a different dimension. And then you have your earth chakra, which is where what I call sometimes the earth star. That is just below your feet if you're on the ground, so it's within. So I just wanted you to have that type of image that is there. So remember, these are all parts that we don't talk about that much. And I'm asking Amma to give us information on these parts that we don't know. Now, for those of you who are new to the calls, because I did a lot of publicity to get Amma's calls known, and I welcome you to those of you who have not been here before. We've been working this year, this 2016 year, on working with the encodements and integrating the encodements to the new energy. And we've worked with the unfolding of the DNA, and we're talking about the crystalline DNA, excuse me, the crystalline DNA. We've been working with the new chakras that have come with the crystalline DNA, because each DNA has its own set of chakras, which produces its own aura set. So they're all there. So you actually have 12 DNA. They're in pairs, but you have 12 strands of DNA, and each pair, 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and so on, they have their own chakra system, and they have their own aura system, but they're all integrated within each other. That's the interesting thing to know. So we've been using encodement work. If you care to come to the encodement intensives, we're actually having one on this particular topic next week at this time, is that it helps to integrate everything that occurs and to have it unfold with gentleness and ease. So that is that's what we're going to be doing, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Actually, they're all a lot of fun. I get lots of reports from people about how much easier their life is flowing, how they feel lighter. And those of you who prefer to do the encodement work yourself, you certainly can. And on Amma's website, ammathedivinemother.com, there is information about the encodements, and you can just take that information and go with it. Use your intuition and your inner knowing. So all of this stuff that I give you, it is not imperative that you pay out any money and get the information. Once you take the information and you're able to go inside and then you ask how to use it, please feel free to do that. That's wonderful. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set up our heart source. That is a structure that we that Amma gave us. Actually, I was in Japan when she started giving us that structure. So go into the front of your heart center. Feel yourself go deep within. Breathe deeply as you do it. Now go into the back of your heart center. Now you'll notice they don't exactly connect because they're on different dimensions. Go into the front of your third eye. Good. And into the back of your third eye. By this, you are in 4 different dimensions. Now you're going to just connect a beam of energy from your heart to your third eye. That's your 5th dimension. Send that beam of energy straight up to the center of the universe. Don't worry about where that is. That's the 6th dimension that you're in, not dimension numbers. Not the 6th dimension as in 1st dimension, 2nd dimension, 3rd dimension. It is a total of 6 dimensions that you're in at one time. I actually don't know the numbers. I haven't asked about where it is. And then send that beam of energy straight down into the center of the universe. And just breathe and to feel that energy. I'm calling upon your healing teams, and those of you who have not gathered a healing team with you, there will still be one that appears as I call upon that. And I'm asking your healing team to use the basic plug-in to adjust any of those 7 elements of your heart source. Good. And now just say expand. Feel your heart source expand around you. Good. And now I'm bringing everybody into our own lecture room. Now in this lecture room will not only be those of us who are on the call live, but this lecture room also will have everybody, whoever listens to this call or reads the transcript, no matter when they do it. And what I mean by that, if somebody picked this up in 30 years, 40 years, 100 years, their energy will also be there with us. There is a floor of light below us, a canopy of light above us. There are pillars of light in the corners. And now there are archangels coming in, archangels from the band of Michael first, who is going to go from pillar to pillar to pillar to pillar to pillar, surrounding the room. And now there's a central pillar in the middle, right in the midst of all of us, right through the center. And that's where you can call in certain people. And we are bringing in, I'm just saying who's coming. Jesus and Buddha are coming. Since I've been doing this and having people come into the central pillar, Jesus and Buddha always appear together. Various archangels are coming in. Archangel Gabriel is coming in. Raphael is coming in. Zadkiel, Uriel. Archangel Golden, who works with the encodements, is coming in. She's called Archangel Golden. That's the name I gave her because she looks like 22 karat gold. And she just winked at me because she knows that the color that's in 22 karat gold is not my favorite color. And she just winks at me with that. But she's just a wonderful archangel. And then the Golden One, who also has 22 karat gold, I say he, but there is no gender, is an encodement, not technician, but is involved with the encodement process. There we go. Melchizedek is coming in. Saint Germain is coming in. Now, Saint Germain happens to be one of my business guides, and as he's saying yes, and I could do much more, he's talking about himself. I could do much more to help you if you would tune in to me more often. So we all have our guides, and if we would use them. because that's what they're there for. He's coming in, and he's coming in how he shows himself to me. Many of you have probably seen a picture of Saint Germain, which is him and his radiant violet. And Saint Germain actually comes to me as a man who is in Eastern Europe dressed like that, just an ordinary man. And he actually asked me to call him Marvin. So I call him Marvin. He's still incarnated, by the way, and he is actually working in Eastern Europe to assist people in moving forward in their business, kind of overcoming what limitations communism placed upon it at that time. Now just invite anybody else that you want in. Now your own angels and guides, by the way, are around you. They're not in the central pillar. They're coming in, and each of you have a healing team, because your healing teams will be working with you, whether you know it or not. They're right there working with you. There we go. Now send a beam of energy from your heart to the central pillar. Good. And even though I'm also connected to the central pillar, I just love the feel of it when you send a beam of energy from your heart to my heart as I bring in Amma. Well, good morning, my dear ones. And it is morning here in Sedona, Arizona. The people who live in Sedona prefer to think of it as God's country, but you do know, don't you, that everywhere is God's country, no matter what you think, what you see, what is going on there. It is all there. It is all part of the oneness. It is all part of the glory, which is the creation, which you have assisted in, and delighted to have you here. So this one I speak with, and some people wonder, why is it that I call her this one I speak with instead of the name you know her by as Cathy? Because I actually don't know her by that name. She has another name here on the inner plane in her soul level, and that is the name that I know her by. And I can't give you that name because it is a combination of the sound of the words, like I can say the words, but it also is mixed in with musical notes and with color. And there's also geometric shapes in it. So when we say the name, and that includes your name, dear ones, I can't even say your name in the way that you could hear it, because it is not in the language that you speak. You have to bring in color and different notes, musical notes, and even geometrical symbols within that. So that's why I always say this one that I speak through. She has asked me to speak about several different parts of your energy field that are not usually spoken of. And that is what I'm going to do today. They're interesting parts of your energy field, and they're very vital ones. And although we're only going to speak about these particular 4 today, there are many more parts of your energy field that are not spoken about. And it isn't that they're not unimportant. It is that the major ones that you are familiar with, which are your chakras, correct? And which is the aura, those are the ones that most energy healers work with. When you want to go more in depth into working with energy, then of course you work with your meridians. Those of you who work with acupuncture work with the meridians, of course. And that is also something that is very, very important, but we're not going to talk about the meridians. But then there are these other structures that hold in the energy of your incarnation. They assist you in this incarnation of yours. So remember, this is very important. Remember that who you are in this lifetime is a small, minute aspect of who it is you truly are. That name I told you that is mixed with the letters of the name and the sounds and the music and the colors and the geometric shapes, that is the who you are. All of those symbols and sounds contribute to the identification of who you are. Think about how, we'll talk about English because that's the language that this one knows. She heard a funny joke today. Can we do a little joke today? The joke is, do you know what they call people who speak only one language? And she came up with monolingual, right? And the person telling the joke said they call them Americans, speaking of the United States, because the United States seems to have this aversion to multi-languages. So that's the joke today. So there is a language of sound and words and music and geometric forms, which identifies who you are. Those of you who know numerous languages, and there are some of you on here who know 2, 3, 4, 5 languages. Those of you who are musicians know even another language. Those of you who are artists know another language, because you know the language of color. You know the language of shape. So there are all of these languages that are here. Now, that said is that you, with your name, say your name. This one would say, Cathy. Say your name. That is a marvelous name, and it is an amazing name, but it is only a small aspect of who it is that you truly are, my dear one. Just a small aspect of who it is you truly are. You have lived thousands of lifetimes, and I do mean thousands of lifetimes, because there is no time. There is no time. So you experience everything. You are actually experiencing what you call past lives right now. That's why you can change them and have those changes affect your current lifetime. You are experiencing future lives, what you call future right now. All these experiences are occurring. That's why you can go to future lives, to past lives, make changes within those lifetimes, and it changes the one you are experiencing now. Because each change that you make it affects the wholeness of who it is you truly are, my precious ones. That's what it does, is it affects the wholeness of who it is you truly are. Now, let's talk about your Hara line. That's H-A-R-A. As this one likes to say, is that if you don't understand what it's about, Google is your friend. So any of the words that I use that you want to know more about, just go to that Google thing that y'all use all the time and type it in, and you will have thousands and tens and thousands and hundreds of thousands of references where people have used it. Now, what I want you to do, first say heart source again, so you are back in your heart source. Now simply say, please reveal to me my Hara line. Those of you who are particularly sensitive to feeling the energies will feel, in a sense, a part of yourself that has come out. It's like it just appears. It's like, oh, let's pay attention to my right hand. And suddenly you are aware of your right hand and how that feels in the experience of your right hand. And it's not that you don't have a left hand, unless, of course, you don't have a left hand. But it's not that you don't have one. It's just that you're concentrating on your heart, your right hand. I was going to say Hara line, but this time you're concentrating on your Hara line, H-A-R-A. Now, I want you to go find your Hara line by first going into your heart with the intention of going into your Hara line. Very good. Now follow that Hara line up. Just keep following it up as far as you can. I want you to see how far it goes. You couldn't find the end, could you? Now go down. Go down, and it will go down into the center of the earth. You know that beam of energy that you connect with? in the heart source, your Hara line is contained within that beam of energy, just as it is contained within your pranic tube, but different dimension. Now, some of you, as you were running up and down your Hara line, as you were experiencing your energy, some of you felt disconnected. You felt that your Hara line may have come straight, then suddenly it bends one direction or another, or it just ends. And then you keep trying to find it, and maybe you've located it in another place. Maybe it bends one way or the other, because it is very easy. It shouldn't be that easy, should it? But when you have an impact, your Hara line can break and bend. When can that happen? Well, falling off of a horse. How about that? How about automobile accidents? How about playing contact sports? Or maybe you got contacted when it wasn't intended to be. That can disturb your Hara line. Trauma, emotional trauma, can also cause breaking to your Hara line. Your Hara line, dear ones, contains for you the information of this incarnation. So when that Hara line is broken or bent, you do not have full access to everything that is contained within your Hara line for this incarnation. So this one I speak through, whose incarnation is of Cathy, and if you want to know her full name, it is Catherine Ann Chapman. No E on the end and a C for the Catherine. How's that? So those of you who know numerology know that there's a numerological aspect, but the Hara line also resonates to that. Now here's something that she didn't know that you might enjoy, is that she was actually going to be called by her parents Anne, which was her mother's middle name. But because when she went to school, the sisters, the good sisters at the school, they didn't call people by their middle names, so they shortened Catherine to Cathy. That information was in the Hara line. There's a different resonance to Cathy than there is to Anne. Now, of course, she had a grandmother that called her Catherine Ann and said you should always go by that name. But you, with your own, when I say struggles with your name, what I'm talking about is what resonates with you. There's something you enjoy being called. She does not like to be called Catherine. She likes Cathy. Now, you're saying, yes, but what do I do if my Hara line is broken? Well, you could go to a healer, and there are healers that do wonderful work with the Hara line, or you could just listen to what we do now, because that is simple enough. What I want you to do is connect with your healing team. Don't worry if you do not know what I am saying with the words that we use, because your healing team knows exactly what to do. And your healing team that we call when you work with me in my work that I am giving to you and to the planet is you have specific members of your healing team. I'm not talking about by name, I'm talking about categories. So you have encodement technicians that are there, and you have soul healing angels that are there. And then you have other members of your healing team who have volunteered to be there with you. Some of these members of your healing team are actually part of your personal connection with angels and guides. So I am asking your healing team right now to use the basic plugin. Don't worry if you don't know what that is. They know what that is. Use the basic plugin, my dear ones, to bring healing to all areas of your Hara line. We're asking them to use the basic plugin to connect any broken parts to each other. We're asking them to use the basic plugin, my dear ones, to correct any bends, any places where it may shoot off to the right, to the left, to the front, to the back. Now, some of you are feeling a surge of energy come in. And that is because as you have your Hara line connected, you feel greater energy. Now, some of you have been struggling with illness, with something happening in your body almost as if it is taking itself apart. And the doctors are doing what they can do, those of you who use whatever kinds of healthcare professional that you use. That is because for many of you, not all of you, but for many of you who are suffering from illness, and even if you don't call it illness, but just not much energy, is you are making new decisions on your soul level, S-O-U-L, not S-O-L-E, S-O-U-L level. You're making those decisions on your soul level, in a sense, to have a new reincarnation, but in the same body. In other words, you want to have new experiences in your life, but you do not want to go through the physical death process and then the physical birth and then the physical adolescence. This one always laughs when she asked, does anybody here want to be an adolescent again? And do the learning. So you're going to bring all the wisdom of this incarnation, but have new experiences. And so as your Hara line regenerates, you will be able to be stronger again and to feel more forceful. This one I speak through is actually going through some of that right now. She was surprised when somebody that she knew, they were having just a little email correspondence about something. And he is a dowser. He's a master dowser. And he, without asking her, which was fine with her because they knew each other, he gave her a report that on a scale of 36,000 per units, her life force was at a 32,000. And she was delighted to hear and surprised to hear at the same time because she's had struggles with energy. That's because the Hara line is going through a transformation and bringing new information within it. So let's say you had an electrical cord. Here's one. We'll pull up one of her little cords. So here's this little cord that fits into one of her hard drives that she has, her whatever you call those things, that she has right here. If you sent tremendous amounts of energy through here, you could blow out this cord, right? More than what it is set for. Well, your Hara line is set for a particular type of energy. And if you took, like in this cord, I'm just holding up one of these cords that has those little things you stick into your computer, and you took off one end of it, it would kind of ruin the cord. You'd have to go out and buy another one unless you knew how to use electrical tape and put it all together again. Well, in a sense, that's what's happening with those of you who are wondering, where is all my energy? And you've probably gone to a doctor and a doctor says, there's nothing wrong with you. I find nothing wrong with you. Here, take this antidepressant, right? You have no needs for antidepressant, by the way, dear ones. Most of you do not. Is that with this cord, when you put it back together and it works as new, that is what is happening with your Hara line. So it contains within it, your Hara line contains within it the information that you need to live in this current incarnation of yours. Because the energies are changing so rapidly, you just had an eclipse, correct? You had a lunar eclipse that brought in new energy. You have fall coming and the alignment of energies in fall. So at fall, what happens? Daylight and darkness are equal, are they not? That also changes energy here. The time that you are listening to this talk, for those of you who may be listening much later, it is in September of 2016, and there is Mercury retrograde, which is occurring. So all of these things are contributing to those of you who are feeling a lack of energy. Now let's go back to the basic plugin. We've asked for the basic plugin to be used to bring your Hara line in alignment. Here's a wonderful one. Just talk to your healing team. Ask them to please use the basic plugin to align your energies to the energy of Mercury retrograde. You do know that Mercury doesn't know it's retrograding, right? It's just where it is and what it looks like on your astrological maps. But it does bring an energy, much of it, because there is an energy that comes from everybody who believes in this illusion of yours, who believes that this is what is happening. There's problems in communication, computers, those of you who had trouble with computers, that those energies occur. So just ask to be aligned to those energies so that your life flows much more easily, my precious ones. So your life flows much more easily. Now, whether you know what the basic plug-in is or not, you can call upon your healing team, to use the basic plug-in with anything that is happening within your life, and it will go at a particular level and work in that area. So if you find yourself in fear, ask your healing team to please use the basic plug-in to relieve, release, to heal, to balance what is at the core of that fear. So use your imagination. You can call upon me. I would be delighted to tell you how to do it. So there are things that you can do, and that way you must take the initiative, however, to do that. So your Hara Line contains all the information within you. Now, those of you who are very familiar with encodements, encodements being your smallest energy centers, imagine that you have a pattern for your life. Those of you who have sewn before, maybe seeing patterns to make clothes with, you take the pattern out of the bag. This one used to sew, so she can use that image and know exactly what I'm speaking of. You take the pattern out of the package and you unfold it. And there is the pattern of something that doesn't look like it's going to be pants or a shirt or a dress or whatever it is that you want. But then as you work with it and follow the instructions, then you have a garment or curtains or a tablecloth or whatever it is that you are constructing. Your encodement system, the one in which you came into this incarnation with, the one in which your encodement team worked with you before you actually incarnated, that is folded into your Hara Line. In other words, your Hara Line contains the package, and it unfolds. And it unfolds and it unfolds. And as you develop in life, and none of you came out of the womb crawling, correct? None of you came out of the womb speaking. You may came out of the womb screaming, but you were not speaking words. As your encodements unfold developmentally, the ones for crawling occur at the proper time, the developmental time. Some of you, they didn't awaken, and you can actually ask your healing team or just the encodement technicians to please activate the encodements for crawling. And you will find changes going into your life that you didn't even realize were related to crawling. But all of that brings forth a particular way of development and it's like dominoes falling. Does that make sense? So when one set of encodements activates, it gets another set ready. So when you punch that domino, that one domino, and that whole line, one by one, starts to fall. Well, with encodements, it is not falling, it is activating that occurs. Excuse me. So you have that which occurs. That is within your Hara Line. So as your Hara Line is starting to change, what is happening is your encodement system is also changing, because you are going to be doing something different and new. That is what is happening. And it takes energy, my precious ones, to do this. And what kind of energy do you have? You have energy in your body, and it takes energy from your body. Now, here's a little tip. Spend more time outside in the sun and bring in energy from the sun. Take your shoes off and stand with your bare feet in the grass and ask for energy. Not all of it. You don't want all of that energy, because you would burn up if you had all of the energy from the planet to come into you. That's a way that you can replenish energy. Yes, you can ask for energy from the sun and from the planet when you are inside. It's just that it works much better and much more easily. And my dear ones, it's a lot more fun if you can go outside and do this. You will notice that different kinds of energy comes into you depending upon whether you were in the mountains, as this one is, or if you were on the coast where there is water, or you were on the plains, or if you were in the midst of very tall trees. Go to California where you have the redwoods, and it all brings in a different kind of energy. You could go into the forest and you will experience a different energy. And all of that comes in and feeds your Hara line, my precious ones. It feeds your energy field. Now, as your Hara line changes, you will also find that other aspects of yourself, your energy field, begin to change. So one of it is the core star, which is in, well, let's see how you would say where the core star is. Excuse me, is that it is in the center. Let me have this one move her camera down a little bit. So think about in this area here between the heart and between the navel, you have in here your core star. Deep within it is another dimension. Now what happens within your core star, and this also has to do with your incarnation, and it is also a connection to other incarnations which are occurring at the same time. Remember, there is really no past lives and future lives and present. It is all one in the now. It is all one in the now. So your core star, that can change with the information which is coming in. Sometimes your core star becomes covered in congested energy. And a lot of that occurs, my precious ones, when you are in confusion about who it is you are. You actually produce your own shrouding, if you would, of your core star. You produce your own fog. How's that? You produce your own fog, and it just kind of hides the energy of your core star. So let us do some healing on that also, shall we not? Again, ask your healing team to please use the basic plug-in to remove any congestion around your core star. Now, your healing team is very adept. You do not have beginners working with you. There are some that are in there, but they're there to learn. And your healing team knows that if there are too many shifts at one time, excuse me, if there are too many shifts at one time, then that can cause a healing crisis. And so we're working so that you do not have a healing crisis. You already have much more going on with your body. So this can occur in layers. So you could, before you go to bed at night, you could ask your healing team to please use the basic plug-in to clean and change and adapt, heal, balance anything within your Hara line that needs to be balanced, anything within your core star that needs to be balanced. So that core star is like all of the energy from your Hara line goes right into your core. How about that? Core. It goes right into your core, my precious ones. And it contains a wisdom and a knowledge about who it is that you truly are in this incarnation. Now, when you come up higher to the soul seat, let me have her move her camera again for those of you who can see it. So between the heart chakra and the throat chakra, in the middle over the thymus, is your soul seat, my dear ones. Now, think about that. Soul seat. Now, this is some information you may not find online, but in your soul seat, this is where you can tap in. I want you to do that right now. Simply first say heart source, because some of you have gone into just the mental aspect of yourself as you listen. Say heart source to go fully back into your heart source. Now just set your intention. Ask that you can feel your soul seat. Feel, see, sense. It depends upon what psychic gifts you use. When you focus on it, it almost feels heavy because it is showing itself to you. It is presenting itself to you. Now, dear ones, you can access from your soul seat. You can access your soul. S-O-U-L. The soul in which you are, it is your connection here to the fullness of who it is that you truly are. Not as if in the core star or the Hara Line, not just that aspect of you in this incarnation. But when you tune in to your soul seat, you can access the magnificent, infinite you, the magnificent, infinite love incarnate that you are. That is what is there. And it also can get shrouded because that happens within life. And you can simply ask your healing team to do that. By that, when I say do that, I don't mean to shroud, I mean to unshroud, to cover, to move the congestion out of the way using just the basic plug-in. Do that now. Ask your healing team to please use the basic plug-in to remove any shrouding, congestion, fog from your soul seat. And you may also ask them that if there's any repair work that needs to be done. Take a deep breath. Feel that. Good. That is wonderful, my precious ones. That is very wonderful. So now let us go down to the Earth Star. This is your connection to the Earth, your grounding. It is your grounding that is there. Just ask from your heart source. Ask for your Earth Star to be revealed to you, just that it come to you. This one, as she's doing that, she hears it singing. It is connected to the earth. This is your connection to what you call Mother Earth. It is your connection to the consciousness of your entire planet. Are you aware that you can, with this connection, being in your heart source in this connection, this is one way that you can gain information from what is happening with the planet. There are other ways that you can do this also through the back of your heart center, for instance. But this is one way you can do that. So this grounds you in this incarnation to what is happening on this planet. You are part of this planet. Your Earth, your planet, your Earth is her own organism. It is her own body, much larger than your body. And you are like a bacteria. You are so small upon it, like a bacteria that is upon it. And she has allowed for you to be there. So your connection and groundedness into the earth. So when you go above, up here, and when I mentioned earlier the individuation point, this one I was speaking through, if you take your hand and you put it where the palm is up, but you're resting the back of your hand on your crown, and move that hand up steadily as straight of a line as you can, and you will eventually feel a slight resistance. You will feel a slight resistance right there. And that is where the individuation starts to come in. So this is where your connection is above and below. So when you establish your heart source and you are moving that beam of energy that goes from the heart to the third eye and then straight up, you're moving it through the individuation point, which is where your Hara Line comes in to this incarnation, and moving it up to the center of the universe, which is another way of expressing your connection with undifferentiated all. The Ein Sof, that those of you who know the Kabbalah that are there. And then when you're down fully and you're connected to the center of the earth through your earth star, then you are fully grounded. Now, what happens is that many of you and most of humanity has a difficult time grounding into the earth. When you were an agrarian society and you worked so closely with the earth, or the hunters that were there and you worked so closely, you had to keep your eye out on what was happening in the skies. Was it going to be fair weather or was it going to be foul weather? Was it going to be a time of when you nurture the plants to growth, or is it a time that you harvest? You would be able to actually feel if there was going to be a shaking of the earth, that thing you call earthquakes, by tuning in deeply. This one I speak through. She gets these images and thoughts that come into her head as I speak through her. But she remembers in her studying, and she was learning about intuition, she learned about a group of Aboriginal men who were able to navigate in the ocean in their canoes. You know, these are men who did not wear very many clothes except for maybe a loincloth. And they sat on the floor of that canoe with their testicles touching the wood of the boat. And they could feel the movement of the ocean and navigate. You, my dear ones, could do that. Even those of you who do not have testicles could do that by tuning in through your earth star and being totally connected to yourself above and below, and listen to that inner movement within you and know which direction that you can go. How about that? So let's do some things to take away the shadows and the shrouding that can occur from what happens with your connection to the earth star. It is the same thing. Just ask your healing team to use the basic plug-in to remove anything that is keeping you in full connection with your earth star. Good. So now what you have learned is that you can use the basic plugin, and even those of you who do not know what is in the basic plugin, you can still say basic plugin and use it in different parts of your life. You can use it on these different aspects of yourself. You could use it on your chakras and your meridians and your aura. You can use it on anything it is that you wish in your life. You can use the basic plugin on what is keeping you from having a good relationship with yourself, with others, with me. You can use the basic plug-in on what is keeping you from having a good relationship with money, with abundance, with business, with knowing your life path. Yes, there's many more and deeper healing that some people need, but if you begin the dusting, as it were, think about keeping your house. If you don't dust in a long while, it gets pretty messy, doesn't it? If you keep the initial dusting going to where it doesn't build up, then it is much easier to bring healing. So, my dear ones, I hope truly that this is something that has assisted you, just knowing in very brief outline about these other little parts of your energy field. The thing to know more than anything is that you, my precious, precious ones, you are love incarnate. You are a physical manifestation of love. And you are here by a purpose not given by me, not given by the Father, but chosen by you to explore an aspect of love. In this incarnation, you are conscious of at this time. If you would only come to realize, if you would only come to realize the vastness, the infinity, the depth of love that you are, you would be able to do anything that you wished, including teleportation, flying, abundance in any way you would wish, any way you wish to experience and experiment with the love energy. But first, come to know you are love. My dear ones, I send you energy now. I put my hand up on the front of your third eye, and I put my other hand on the back of your heart center. And I love you. And know that that love is entering into you now and filling you, just as if you were out there in the sun or up on the ground. My blessings to you. And dear ones, I am Amma, the Divine Mother of the Divine Mothers, and I am your mother. Well, this is Cathy back, and thank you for being here for that. I'm going to take you off briefly off of mute. And if you have, well, actually, I'm not going to take you off mute. I'm going to let those of you who are on mute, if you have a question, just to unmute yourself. And that way, we will take questions for just a very few minutes. So if anybody would like to say something, please do.
Hi, Cathy.
Hello, how are you?
It's Cleo again.
It's always wonderful to hear from you.
Thank you. I do have a question. I'm wondering if it's accurate in my understanding that if you spin your Earth Star chakra and your Soul Star chakra simultaneously, it creates your Merkaba vehicle.
That is one way to do it, but one of the things that you need to know that somehow I haven't, because Alma's talked about this, is the heart source. The energy you create within the heart source is your Merkaba.
Oh. I don't recall how we would call that forth to use it in a specific way.
It just is. So you can, and how when you establish your heart sourcing, you know, when I said it was to expand it, the more you expand it, then the more that is, you can use it to do all kinds of things which we haven't been taught. But yes, the other question that you had is yes, that would also work.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anything else?
Cathy?
Yes.
Hi. I have a question. If you wanted to change something, like say something that you've been not being able to push through, would it be best to go to all three of the seats and the stars that you mentioned today and ask to unblock everything?
Well, that's one way of doing it. Who is this?
Kimberly, sorry.
Kimberly, okay. Kimberly, that's one way of doing it. You could do that, or you could also ask your healing team to do it in general. So you could say, this is my intention, whatever your intention is. And with that intention, you can then ask them to please use the basic plug-in and on whichever area and whichever aspect of yourself has the blockage within it to change the encodements, and they will do that. They do very, very complex work, even though we ask something very simply. The easiest way for them is when you have a specific intention that is detailed, because it gives them a good idea of exactly what it is. So people have asked me many times, well, can't I just ask them to just keep doing the healing? Well, what that happens when you do that sort of thing is that you are removing yourself from the responsibility of the equation and putting the responsibility upon them. You need to be responsible for yourself. So if you wrote out, say, your vision of what it is that you wanted to accomplish. Real estate, for instance. And then you gave specific things of, is there anything which is blocking me from learning what it is that I need to know to accomplish this, this, and this? And say, would you please use the basic plugin? And those of you who have done encodement intensives know that we have many plugins. The basic one is just, well, it's the basic one, right? And there's many other kinds. So you can take the information, especially from the transcripts that we've done, and you've got the outline of all like the implant removal and all of those other ones. You can ask, which one do I need to apply?
Okay.
And so the more that you do that, because what will happen is, and I know I'm kind of jumping around here, so if you have a specific intention to learn how to flip houses, okay? You have a specific intention to do that, and you can ask for, what is it that I need to know? So you need knowledge, you need intellectual knowledge, you also need to know a sense of timing, correct? You need to know a sense of what needs to be, what do you call it, reconstructed, remodeled?
Right.
You need
remodel that.
Right. So you know that there's different aspects that need to be done. And so you can ask for them to use the basic plug-in on those things. And you can then also say, if there is anything within my Hara line that is preventing such and such, would you please use the basic plug-in to balance, remove, heal that?
Awesome. Okay.
That help?
Oh, yes, immensely.
Okay.
Just one quick thing. You know what you said was what during the channeling, there was something about how the guys in ancient times when they were in the boat and they needed to know how to navigate, and they had their testicles.
Oh, I remember that from my study. Believe it or not, that's not ancient times. They're doing that now.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. How do we? I mean, how do you do? I guess what I'm feeling is that it basically puts you in the flow of the universe, basically, in the way you should go. Like,
exactly.
How could we use that on a daily basis?
Well, one of the things I have a terrible sense of direction. And what I was getting for myself as I was channeling Amma is that if I would become very consciously connected through my Earth star and through up here, if I could be very and I have my hand up above my head for those of you who can't see me. And if I became very consciously connected and remained in my heart source, that I could activate energies which would activate those parts in my brain. So it's complex in how it comes together. You don't have to know that, oh, I'm activating my brain or doing that or the other. If you simply do some of the exercises, those of you who have done Amma's email course, which, by the way, is going to go offline pretty soon, not for those of you who are in the midst of it, but for new people. So if you want to do Amma's email course at no charge, it's getting time for you to do that. We're going to substitute something else. But that was just an aside. As you work on practicing those particular skills, you will become stronger, and your encodement system, you know, she talked about the domino effect. When you activate certain encodements, other encodements get activated, which are important to you. Does that make sense? Did I make any sense with that?
Oh, yes. Yes, totally.
Okay, good. Anything else, Kimberly? Okay. Anybody else? One more.
Yeah, Kathy, I would like to know, how important is it that you know specifically what to ask the encodement technicians to work specifically on one thing? Like I know you can ask them to say, please use the basic plugin on whatever is causing this, but how much more efficient is the healing if you actually know specifically what to tell them to work on?
When you are telling them to please balance, heal, whatever you need for whatever the core wound is underneath that experience you're having at that time, that's very specific.
Oh, okay. So I don't have to worry whether I know it's about the Hara Line or whatever.
No, you do not.
Okay, great. That's really great. Thank you.
Now you can do work like if you think, well, now that you know about the Hara Line, and maybe you'll get intuitively something that says, I think it's my Hara Line. Well, you can go in to do that. But,
yeah, and you can pendule on it and check as well.
right.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. It was a great session.
Thank you. So I want to thank all of you. Now, you should have, I'm putting it in quotes, should have received an email that gave you the information about this call. And on your thank you page when you first signed in, there was a lot of information also. But I will go ahead and send out another one. But I put all of these transcripts, recordings, etc. on one place on the web, and you can always go there and look at that. But I'll send you another email that will just tell you where it is, because I'll get this uploaded today. I won't get the transcript uploaded today, but I'll get this uploaded today, and then you can go in to listen to. And my intention, by the way, is that these be downloadable. So if you can't download it, email me. There's a little box I have to check. And if I sometimes don't get that checked, or if I check it but then forget to hit save, it doesn't always take effect. And sometimes lately, even when I've been clicking save it, I've had to do it several times. So just let me know. Okay? Thank you for being here. Blessings to you. I'm delighted to be able to share this information with you, and those of you who are interested in encodement intensives and having the work that we started today being integrated even more fully. You'll get an email about that sometime this week. So you'll get emails about that in our next encodement intensive, which will be based upon this information. Will be next Saturday, same time, same station.
Wow.
So take care with you. And there is a charge to the encodement intensives. You'll get all that information if you choose to come. Blessings to you. Thank you so much. My love to you. Take care.
Thanks.
I'm seeing your face.